We do want to begin with that breaking news out of British Columbia. A Wet'suwet'en hereditary chief and government ministers saying they have reached a proposed arrangement in the land rights pipeline dispute. Let's bring in Arthi Pole, who has been going through what we're hearing from Smithers, BC. So Arthi, what can you tell us right now?
Well, essentially what we understand is that they're only confirming that there is a proposed agreement that has been reached. But it was very clear in the scrum, in the media questions that were taken by the Chief Was, one of the hereditary leaders, along with Indigenous ministers federally and provincially, essentially that proposed agreement is going to be taken back now to other hereditary leaders within Wet'suwet'en territory there in order to discuss what was talked about over the past 3+ days in regards to this agreement, in regards to the construction of the Coastal GasLink pipeline that, as is proposed right now, as has been permitted right now, would cut through traditional Wet'suwet'en territory. As most Canadians will know, this dispute originating because of the opposition from hereditary leaders in Wet'suwet'en territory has produced a number of solidarity anti-pipeline protests across the country, in some cases resulting in blockades that had very disruptive effects on freight and passenger train lines in major corridors in Ontario through British Columbia as well. There were also some blockades there and resulted in some court injunctions, RCMP moving in. Just taking a look at some of what I was able to hear, although I have not heard the totality of what was exactly discussed. Essentially, that they're feeling confident about the rights and title matter, that they've come up with an arrangement that they're looking at optimistically right now. And they also say here that we always maintain that we are against the pipeline going through our territory. So that is important to note here as we continue to wait for details. We know the ministers had been in Smithers, BC for these meetings. It was supposed to last 2 days. They said we're not leaving until we actually come to some sort of resolution. Day 3 in the morning, now into day 4, we're seeing that a proposed agreement has been reached. One other very important thing to point out here, as we have been doing along with all of our coverage, that this pipeline project has received approval from the province. 20 First Nation band councils have signed agreements to support it, including 5 of the 6 band councils in the Wet'suwet'en Nation. So that is what we know right now, Michael.
Yeah, but not the hereditary chiefs, which of course, as you
Correct.
say, is the friction in this. Arthi, thank you for that. We will speak again. And for reaction to this agreement in principle, we're now reaching out to Molly Wickham. She is a spokesperson for the Gidimt'en camp in the Wet'suwet'en territory. She joins us right now in Smithers, BC. So Molly, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, the details have not been released yet. I'm wondering if you've heard anything in specifics about what's been agreed to here.
Well, the proposed agreement has to do with our title, the hereditary chiefs Wet'suwet'en inherent government title to the 22,000 square kilometers of territory that belong to the Wet'suwet'en. And so this is an agreement that speaks to the larger issue of title and who needs to, who can provide consent to specific projects. This is not an agreement that addresses the Coastal GasLink project or the RCMP occupation of our territories directly. So this is one of the issues where a proposed agreement has been brought to the table, but it does not, unfortunately, address the Coastal GasLink pipeline directly, and it doesn't address the RCMP occupations.
Does it make you feel positive that all parties are headed in a better direction right now, though?
For the future, I think that it's going to set a precedent for future developments or future negotiations. It doesn't resolve, unfortunately, the crisis that we're in at this point in time, and it doesn't address those specific issues. But the chiefs were trying really hard, and I believe that that they've tried everything in their power to be able to bring those issues to the table, and the province and the federal government just weren't willing to respond to that.
So what does that mean then for the demonstrations that have been set up on Wet'suwet'en territory?
It means that we're still in this fight. It means that we are still continuing to oppose the pipeline project. It means that the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs and WASP stated this specifically earlier, that this issue over the pipeline is not over. The fact that the hereditary chiefs oppose this pipeline has not changed. There are discussions about what implementation, what the title of the territories are going to look like, and those are supposed to be fast-tracked within the next couple of weeks after discussions happen with the clans and the house groups of the nation.
Sorry, you said next couple of weeks, and that's how long the consultation will actually take, you think?
Yes, all of the chiefs have to go and go meet back with the clans and get clan input and input from the other wing chiefs and supporting chiefs, and then come back to the table with the government. But in the meantime, we still have the issue of CGL and RCMP in our territory to deal with, and that hasn't gone away and that hasn't changed.
You know, I think people were looking to this meeting with the federal and provincial minister, as well as with Wet'suwet'en leadership, to have maybe a quick solution to what has been happening. But the implication here is that this is not going to be a quick solution. So I'm wondering what lessons need to be taken out of this. What is the message you want to send out to political leaders in this country that perhaps think that one set of negotiations will solve the issue altogether?
I think that negotiating and talking about title and affirming Wet'suwet'en title from our inherent governance system, that's going to solve a lot of problems in the future. But the fact that that Coastal GasLink and the RCMP invasion and the violence were the huge issues that caused such an uprising around the country from coast to coast, those haven't been addressed. They could have been addressed in these meetings over the past 3 days. And those are things that still need to be, they need to be looked at and they need to be addressed by the government. And they're things that aren't going to go away.
Molly, I want to thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that is Molly Wickham, spokesperson for the Gidimt'en camp in the Wet'suwet'en territory.